Right. I just wanted to say that this organization is so amazing because they have been providing all of these resources and community events for free for the community. So one of the big ones that they do is on also human trafficking, domestic violence, women empowerment. They do a series on that as well. And it's all for free. And this is the first time that they're doing a fundraiser, I've heard, in more than a decade. So if you do feel compelled to donate, there's very easy ways to do that. There are volunteers around the area. There's also this very easy, now we are in the days of QR code. There is a QR code here on the back of the program, also on this pamphlet here. So if you just scan the QR code, it will take you directly to where you can donate for the amazing things that IAPAC does year-round for the community. All right, everyone, we have a special video message from Congressman Raja Krishnamurthy. So please look at the screen behind us, and you'll see the video play shortly.
Hi, everyone. I'm Congressman Raja Krishnamurthy from the 8th District of Illinois. First of all, happy holidays, and thank you for allowing me to address you virtually. I'm sorry I can't be with you in person at the IAPAC event. I want to say a special thank you to Rupa, as well as Chairman and CEO of Mago Associates, Ashok Mago, for everything that you do for the organization and the community. I'm so glad that you're focusing on mental health. There's a mental health crisis right now in the United States. It unfortunately affects our young people, but it also affects the rest of us. And we have to make sure that we do two things. One, recognize it where it exists and allow people to talk about it in a way that doesn't create a stigma. And then two, treat it and make options available for treating it and making sure that our health insurance companies and others reimburse for treatment of it just the same way they would for physical health. But in total, I just want to say thank you for shining a light on this particular issue. It affects every community, and we have to do everything we can to help everyone affected by it. So thank you again to IAPAC. I look forward to being with you in person, and until then, God bless.
All right, and while we have our dinner, we will have Dr. Shehzad Batliwala, known as Dr. Shez, who exemplifies the transformative journey from being a former undocumented immigrant to becoming an accomplished eye surgeon. And here's the twist, he's also a comedian. So let's put our hands together for Dr. Batliwala to bring us all the laughter while we eat.
Hello, everyone. How y'all doing? I'm Shehzad Batliwala. Full disclaimer, I'm weird, okay? So I'm gonna start with a selfie, okay? Just in case y'all don't laugh. Pretend like you're laughing. I told you I'm weird. Man, this is what a beautiful evening. Gosh. This feels like a family reunion, right? I can't remember the last time I saw all these brown people. I think it was at my wedding. I was going to talk a lot about belonging and fitting in, but I don't know anymore. I don't want to isolate the white people. Look, white people, I just want you all to know that you belong, okay? We're like UPS, okay? Y'all don't get that joke? We're like UPS. Just ask, what can Brown do for you? So, look, guys, I am super excited to be here, right? Not just because this is the only audience that can actually spell my name, but because I believe in IAPAC's mission of raising awareness around mental health. It is such an important topic that's so often neglected, so I'm so happy to be here. I'm an ophthalmologist professionally and an aspiring comedian, which, trust me, is way better than the other way around, I love Trevor Noah, but you do not want him doing your LASIK. I'm also a first-generation Indian American. I was born in India, but I like to say that I was made in America, specifically Tyler, Texas. Yeah. I don't know what my dad was thinking. So growing up in Tyler, Texas, my name, Shahzad Batliwala, became Shazam Bottle of Water. Sounds like some hydrated superhero, you know? And I hated being called Shazam Bottle of Water. Who wouldn't? I felt like I never belonged. I felt like I didn't fit in. So I changed my name. I'm Shez now. I go by Dr. Shez. It just sounds cooler, you know? But as immigrants, we tend to do that, right? We tend to change our identities and our names to try to fit in because we just want to belong. Belonging is a human need. And, you know, when you feel like you don't belong, you're lonely, you're disconnected. And it's more than just a feeling. Our very own U.S. Surgeon General has said that loneliness is as harmful to your physical health as smoking almost a pack of cigarettes a day. That was not a joke. That was serious, right? That is insane to me when I learned that. And so my solution to that was to change my name. My family, similar thing. Let me explain. My father, he's here in the audience. Where you at, Dad? Yeah. Most people think he's my brother, but he's my father. His name is Yusuf Wali Muhammad Batliwala, but he goes by Sam. My uncle, his name is Shakir Abdul Latif Batliwala. Guess what he goes by? Sam. As an immigrant, it should be a crime to call your relative Uncle Sam. My family immigrated here when I was 7 years old from India, and I grew up here illegally, undocumented. We came on a tourist visa, and we just never stopped touring. So if somebody asks if y'all saw me here tonight, no, y'all didn't, especially you, sir. My immigration attorney has seen me through my entire upbringing. He's like family to me. He sleeps on the couch. Forget having a lawyer on retainer. I got a lawyer on recliner. You like that one? I look at that. I even got a round of applause on that one. So, where do we want to go from here? Where did we go from undocumented immigrant? So look, people ask me all the time, what was it like growing up as an undocumented immigrant? It sucked. I felt always this deep sense of uncertainty and lack of belonging. I couldn't even get a driver's license, right? Much less anything else. And when you grow up that way, you just have this desire to be seen. And that's how I grew up. I wanted to do something that would impress everyone, the world, for external validation. You know, like comedy at IAPAC. And that wasn't enough. When I got my legal status, I graduated med school, and I became an ophthalmologist. I'm Indian. What else am I going to do? Well, guess what? That wasn't enough either. I read somewhere that they were sending doctors into space. So I got it in my head that I wanted to be an astronaut. That's how bad I wanted to be seen and accepted. Lucky for me, I actually got into an internship at NASA right here in Houston at the Johnson Space Center. And those 2 months I spent there were life-changing for me. I learned a lot of interesting space trivia as well, and I wanted to share some of that with you. For example, did you know that space toilets have seat belts? Yeah, Where am I going with this? I was so excited to learn that because if I ever get to space, I am for sure bringing my mom's chicken tikka masala. It's quite, never mind, I won't say it. Y'all are eating dinner. Never mind. Let's move past that one. You know, the other thing I learned is that India also has a space program. Did anybody know that? India actually has a space program, which is so interesting because when the shuttle takes off, the pilot spins the taximeter. And the last thing I learned is that every space mission has an astronaut commander, someone who makes all the decisions. In India, that's called mom. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Chupples, anybody? Mom and Chupples? Not a good combination. Tough crowd, man. What do y'all want to hear about? Huh? What do y'all want to talk about? I know where I want to go with this. Growing up Indian, let's talk about that. Such an interesting thing, right? American dads will teach their kids how to hunt or teach their kids how to play catch. My Indian dad taught me how to sell fake jewelry in the mall so we could pay rent. Yes, I was that guy. Oh, man. And, you know, even now, as an eye doctor, I still got that fake jewelry mall kiosk hustle. You know what I mean? So don't be surprised if you see me out in the streets just ophthalmologizing everybody. Like you, sir, you with the glasses. You want LASIK on your right eye? I'll throw the left one in for free. You want 20/20? Let's go 50/50. You know, I joke about that, but honestly, my dad taught me so much. I mean, he taught me hustle, right? As an immigrant, you got to be resourceful. You're kind of in that survival mindset for so much of your life. And I just want to give a shout out to my dad. He's probably one of the most hardest working, kind-hearted man I have ever met. And I'm so proud to be his son. So thank you, Dad. Welcome to my TED Talk, people. All right, I'm going to leave y'all. Can y'all hear me? Oh, here we go. Okay. I think that was a signal. They want me off the stage, y'all. I'll leave y'all with a couple more, then I'll get out of here. I come from a super close family. How close? My parents are first cousins. Ooh. Come on, don't act surprised, y'all. We're all Indian here, right? But that's not what's wrong with me. Their parents are also first cousins. I'm a third generation inbred, y'all. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I'm a third generation inbred. What does that mean? Even a third generation inbred like me can come to the U.S. and take risks and strive and make it, right? That's what America's all about. One last thing I want to share, and then I promise I'll get out of here. I gotta get this out. When I was an intern at NASA, you know, I joke about the space thing, but I learned something that completely changed my life. It's something called the overview effect. I got to live with a Navy SEAL when I was at NASA for 2 months, and he had gone to space himself. His name was Chris Cassidy. And one night we were sitting there, and he described to me what it felt like to be floating in space. I want you all to imagine this for a second. It's the darkness of space, and you're floating there. And right below you, you see Earth, this blue, beautiful marble suspended in the cosmic void. From that vantage point, you don't see borders. Divisions fade away. All you see is oneness and this interconnectedness with humanity. You don't see Democrats, you don't see Republicans, you just see mankind. And a lot of astronauts will describe this as a transformative shift in their perspective. And I wanted to mention that because can you imagine how beautiful our world would be and how healthy our politics would be if our leaders could embody the overview effect in their decision making? How collectively as a society, how much progress we would make if we all deep down believed and knew that we all belong. You know, this event was a reach for me. Dr. Rupa gave me the opportunity to come and try to make this a brighter evening for you all. And, you know, I got a few laughs, but I wanted to take this risk because this message of belonging and mental health awareness is so important. It's bigger than me. And this was a risk that was worth taking for me. So, thank you. So I want to leave you all with that image of the overview effect. All of those feelings of not belonging and isolation, disconnection that we all feel as human beings, that perspective for me grounds me. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for letting me come up here and share my story and share this mission with you all. Have a good evening.
Hello? You know, this would be more impactful whenever I yell at my children. Just kidding, I don't yell at them. All right. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Shez. That was great. And now we are going to talk about our distinguished keynote speaker, Dr. Rahul Gupta, who brings unique perspectives on leadership and service. Now, a little bit about him. You can read his full bio in the program, but he is the director of the National Drug Control Policy, which is a visionary leader dedicated to advancing public health solutions and tackling critical challenges. And as you all know, it is a busy time in the White House, and Dr. Rahul Gupta could not attend this gala in person, so he has provided his keynote speech as a video. So let's direct our attention here.
Thank you to Dr. Rupa Gear and the Indian American Public Affairs Council for inviting me to join you. And hello to Mayor Whitmire and my dear friend Gautam Raghavan, my colleague from the White House, and so many other distinguished guests. It is great, and I wish I could be there with you in person. I bring you greetings from President Biden and Vice President Harris. I am so glad that you are celebrating the 25 years of IAPAC and focusing on the intersection of mental health and politics. At the White House, this is an issue we're focused on each and every day. In fact, 2 of our 4 pillars of President Biden's unity agenda for the nation are tackling the mental health crisis in America and beating the opioid crisis. And we all know that they are so closely linked. We call them co-occurring disorders. When President Biden and Vice President Harris came into office, our country was facing overdose death rates of 31% increases a year. 31%. So we hit the ground running with a clear plan to save lives. And well, the latest data from CDC show that overdoses went down by 14.5% across the nation. This is about a 45% turnaround. This is historic, and the largest drop in overdose deaths ever. Think about it. This is a unique feat in saving lives in the Biden-Harris administration that has never happened before. So let me share the story of how it happened, what's behind it. We knew from day one that one of the quickest ways to save lives was to get more naloxone, the antidote for overdose reversal, or Narcan, as people call it, into people's hands. So we surged the funding to states to buy it, and it's now available over the counter to anyone without a prescription. We also launched the White House Challenge to Save Lives from Overdose, which has brought together major companies like the United Airlines, Major League Baseball, as well as small businesses in towns across America to commit to having naloxone on hand so they can save a life. We've also increased funding for youth substance use prevention initiatives. And we've launched a toolkit for business leaders to make their business recovery ready, to help people get their lives back. We've invested in the mental health of medical providers, which was especially important in the wake of the pandemic. And then we've made it easier than ever for people to access treatment for opioid use disorder. At the same time, we're seizing record amounts of fentanyl at the border before it can kill Americans, Texans, Houstonians. And we're also going after the supply of drugs in new ways. We're, in addition, bringing the whole world together to stop synthetic drugs from proliferating. For instance, following Prime Minister Modi's visit last year, the United States and India signed a historic drug policy framework agreement, which recently was recognized in the most recent, the latest meeting between President Biden and Prime Minister Modi. I was in India in October to build on our two countries' historic framework for cooperating on the drug problem, which addresses not only the global public health, but also the pharmaceutical supply chain, which drug traffickers are trying to exploit. Now, all these actions have helped us make unprecedented and historic progress in this fight. You know, as Prime Minister Modi told me, the diaspora is the real strength of our two countries' relationship. Our community is so strong and so committed to excellence. And the work that you are doing in Houston is so critical to our efforts to beat this crisis. So please keep it up. Whether you are a medical provider, a community leader, or someone who wants to help make our country healthier, you can take that action. For instance, you can carry naloxone. You can help make your workplace recovery ready. If you're a prescriber, you can screen and treat patients for opioid use disorder. And by doing these things, you'll help us beat the crisis of both overdoses and mental health once and for all. As President Biden often says, we are the United States of America. There's nothing beyond our capacity when we act together. So thank you for making me a part of your team and being a part of this effort to save lives. And congratulations on 25 years.
All right, thank you to Dr. Gupta for those powerful words. Now, we are going to hear from U.S. Senator John Cornyn. He has been a great friend of the Indian Americans, and he was the one who actually established the India Caucus in the Senate. He himself is also a very passionate advocate for mental health. So let's take a moment to hear the words of encouragement and support from U.S. Senator John Cornyn.
Hi, I'm Texas Senator John Cornyn. Welcome to this year's Gala, and congratulations to all the honorees this evening, especially my good friend A.K. Mago. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to say a few words. Far too many Texans struggle with their mental health in silence, and going without treatment can lead to devastating consequences. Last Congress, I authored a law that made the single largest investment and community-based mental health care in American history. Texans across the Lone Star State have received much-needed support thanks to these resources. Thanks for your invaluable partnership and the work you do for our vibrant Indian American community in Houston and beyond. Together, we can help end this crisis. Keep up the good work, and I look forward to seeing all you will accomplish in the next 25 years.
A big thank you to him. Now we are going to take a moment to honor the visionaries who laid the foundation for IAPAC. Now these founders have worked tirelessly to create a platform that amplifies the voices of our community. So please join me in honoring our founders. I'm going to name them one at a time. We have 3, Jagad Kamdar, who is a founding member of IAPAC. He has been an active leader in the Indo-American and Greater Houston communities for decades, supporting social, political, charitable, and business initiatives. He co-founded several key organizations, including the Indo-American Charity Foundation, South Asian Chamber of Commerce, and also Indo-American Political Action Committee, serving as IACF president in 1992. And he's also worked with United Way, HPD advisory panels, and has co-hosted Open Forum, a South Asian radio talk show since 1999. His efforts were honored with the Outstanding Community Service Award by the India Culture Center in 1992, showcasing his enduring dedication to diverse causes, and he's also an amazing grandfather, I know firsthand. Thank you, Uncle. Big congratulations to him. So Dr. Sahu is requested to be up on stage to give the next award. Randhir Sahani, over 30 years, Mr. Sahani co-founded IAPAC to create opportunities for the Indian community in Greater Houston by building relationships with elected officials, business leaders, and community influencers. Recently retired as founder and president of Llewellyn Davies Sahani, an architecture, planning, and urban design firm, and he led projects worth over $6.5 billion globally. Since 1997, he has been a registered investment advisor, offering wealth management through Sahani Incorporated, a graduate of Kansas State and Rice Universities with advanced degrees in architecture and urban design. His career highlights innovation, community engagement, and financial expertise. Big round of applause for him. Next, we would like to honor the late Rao Ratnala. He is a founding member of IAPAC, and his engineering firm was recognized as Houston 100 for 6 years and ranked 75th on the MBN's top 100 outstanding MBEs in America. He received awards such as Asian American Entrepreneur of the Year, also Outstanding Businessman of the Year. Ratnala served on numerous boards and co-founded organizations like IAPAC, SACC, IACCGH, leaving a lasting impact throughout his leadership and community involvement. And we have his son who is receiving the award for him today. I would also like to invite Gigi to come to the stage from the mayor's office, and also past presidents of IAPAC for a photo, and also current board members, if they could please make their way to the stage as well for a photo. All right, that was great. Now I'm so excited to hear from Anaga Surendran, who is a freshman at UT San Antonio, majoring in communications. That's a great major to communicate. Oh, that's a great major to be in. I majored in communications as well. And she is going to be coming up here shortly to share her story, which is so impactful, and it takes a lot of courage to come up here and speak to everyone, and it's all for raising awareness and also helping others. So please give a round of applause for Anaga. Did I say that right? Okay, all right.
As a child, I aspired to be someone great. I had no doubt in my mind that I would achieve great things in the future. It would just be a matter of time. My favorite childhood memories were when my parents would be standing in the audience as I was holding an award, smiling, trying to take as many pictures as they can, and afterwards telling me how proud they were of me. I started playing violin when I was in 4th grade, and I eventually excelled into a varsity orchestra player. I also ran track in high school and made it to the Junior Olympics for the 4x800 meter relay in 2021. I was also an honors student, and I took advanced classes all my school years. My life was going uphill, and I thought it could only get better. But my life took a drastic turn. It took me so long to get ready every morning before school because I needed everything to be perfect before I left the house. I had to clean my room, my shoes, my backpack, my phone, and make sure that I, too, was completely perfect in every way. I know it sounds irrational, but these are the thoughts that would go through my head, and I could not control my mind, as my mind was controlling me. I would get up in the middle of the night and pray 8 times, and if I had a negative thought in the middle of those prayers, I would redo it. I had to enter every room with my right foot, or else I'd have to walk out and do it again. Sometimes I'd feel as though whatever I touched was contaminated, so I would clean it immediately. It was exhausting, but I felt as though I had to do these things because my mind would tell me that if I didn't do certain things in a certain manner, something bad would happen. I believed I had obsessive-compulsive disorder, but I didn't know how to explain this to my parents. I thought they would think I was crazy or making things up, but they believed me, and their only concern was my recovery. My mom found a team of doctors who worked specifically with OCD patients at Baylor Medical Center, and from there, I was officially diagnosed with OCD in 2021. The only times I could go to the Baylor Medical Center were during the weekdays. I'd either have to skip my first class or my last class. It was an hour drive away from home, and my father would take me twice a week or 3 times a week, sacrificing his time. My dad was working hard with his campaign to become a judge at this time, while trying his hardest to keep his daughter alive. I started getting to school late every single day. My grades started slipping since I wasn't attending class, and I stopped orchestra. I was disappointed that I was letting one of my passions go, but I still held on to track. Though I was late to school every day, I was always motivated to go no matter what because I had track to look forward to. Track was my last period of the day, so sometimes I would have to skip practice in order to go to Baylor. My coaches had told me they see great things in my future. I focused on improvement and doing the best I can to make myself proud. But soon my coaches had no choice but to let me go because of my failing grades. They were not allowed to let me compete if I was not passing. I remember crying in the locker room and going home and crying some more. I never told my coaches or teammates what I was dealing with, so I didn't know how to explain my failing grades. My coaches and friends in school often thought I was just skipping class or lazy. I didn't know how to tell them I was suffering mentally, and I didn't think they would take me seriously. Eventually, I stopped dreaming. I let go of track, and at this point, I didn't even want to go to school. I was admitted into a mental hospital in April of 2022 for suicidal thoughts. I was so confused on where my life was headed and how I even got to this point. My parents fought so hard for me, and it was with their help, as well as my teachers in school, that I passed 10th grade. 11th grade came, and I had told myself that I would go to school every day and that I wouldn't let my parents worry about me like they had the previous year. But what I wanted did not happen, and I was on the brink of failing once again. And once again, with the help of my parents, teachers, and counselors, I got through 11th grade. I had been taking large doses of pills to treat my OCD, and this would often make me extremely tired to where I couldn't even get up from bed. When senior year came, I decided to stop medication because I wanted to see if it would make a difference. I had to be focused this year as I had to start applying for colleges, and I had to graduate by the end of the year. That was the big goal. But by the first semester, I was struggling again. My father let my teachers know once again what I was going through. I worked extremely hard to pass the first semester and apply to colleges on time. My second semester of senior year was the worst semester in all of my high school years. I was absent at one point for 3 months consecutively, but at this point, my counselor and teachers weren't certain about my graduation. My father fought extremely hard to help me with mental health accommodations. My second semester of high school was when I decided to get back on medication. My dad would cry every morning, asking God why it had to be me, begging me to get up and telling me that he didn't want to see me fail. I had gotten accepted to colleges, but I knew that I couldn't attend it if I didn't graduate high school. My graduation was uncertain until the very last day of high school, but I had worked so hard, and thankfully I was cleared at the very last minute to graduate. I was so proud of myself, and I just wanted my parents to be proud of me too. I wanted them to be smiling in the audience like when I was a child as I walked the stage. My father would always tell his friends and almost everybody he met with how brilliant his daughters are. He still does, and he tells me and my sister almost every day as well. My parents' open-mindedness to learn and their continued fight to help me recover is the reason I'm still here today. In Indian culture, mental health is often thought of as taboo, but my parents believed in me and supported me from the beginning. They did everything they could to get me all the support and resources I need without even worrying about their own well-being. OCD is something that has affected not only my life, but the lives of my family as well. Though I've lost a lot, I've gained so much strength and bravery. I've overcome every obstacle that's come my way, and I've learned to be calm and patient in any situation. I learned that there's so much more beauty in order within chaos rather than perfection. I'm currently in my first year of college, and I dream of becoming a lawyer one day. I'm still learning how to live with this illness, but I know that everything will be okay in the end. Something I always tell myself in times of self-doubt is to turn the page. Turn the page and do better today than what you did yesterday. You can't wait until life isn't hard anymore to start being happy. Thank you.
That was so good. Thank you for saying that. Thank you.
This is just a thank you.
You know, Anaga, you sharing that story is so powerful and so inspirational, and I am so grateful that you were able to share that. You know, it takes a lot for people to do something like that, especially at such a young age, and especially when you're suffering from something and you know something's wrong and it's so confusing and it feels paralyzing, and the people who look the happiest sometimes are going through the darkest times, and they don't even understand why they're going through it. Anxiety has crippled me personally since I was younger too, and it's something that my family has helped me with, and so has my wonderful husband, and it feels like this paralyzing out-of-body experience. You can't explain it. And now I look at it as the biggest blessing, because sometimes I see my 7-year-old have some type of anxiety, and I know that I can sense what he's going through, and I can help him work through those feelings. And I think that that is what is needed the most, is the access to that type of care, the access to find out how to work through those feelings. And again, like I said, events like this and things like this are just enabling people to destigmatize the mental health issues and challenges that people face. And really, it's like everybody faces something, right? I mean, we all have some type of anxiety, something we're dealing with. I mean, we're all in it together. It's just about whether or not you're talking about it. And so speaking about it at a local level, at a young level, older, whatever case may be, and hearing Anaga's story just really ignited the powerfulness of people's stories and how impactful that can be to others. Anyway, I just felt compelled to share that, and I wanted to now introduce our panel discussion, which is huge, and I was honored to talk to these people who are part of the panel, and they're so amazing and doing such great work individually themselves. And even in between, like before the camera was on, when I did the panel, they were talking about things themselves, about what's going on in this state, what's happening here, what are we, and there's so many similarities, you know, there's a resource that we have here in Texas, but then, you know, Senator Dhingra was like, well, we have something like this as well in Washington. And even after the camera was off, even after all of that, they're still talking about the differences and really more of the similarities, which was so interesting and fascinating, because at the end of the day, we're all facing the same things, right? It's just about how we're tackling them. Anyway, I'll be quiet now. Let's go ahead and introduce our panelists. We have Senator Manka Dhingra, Deputy Majority Leader, Washington State. She is the chair of the Senate Law and Justice Committee. As the first Sikh state legislator in the U.S., she champions behavioral health reform, domestic violence prevention, and criminal justice transformation. A senior deputy prosecutor, Manka developed the state's mental health and veterans courts. Her advocacy extends to anti-poverty and equity initiatives. A community leader and co-founder of Chaya, she is committed to creating systematic change through innovative legislation and partnerships. Also, we have next to her Wayne Young, who is the CEO of the Harris Center for Mental Health and IDD. He is one of the nation's largest behavioral health organizations, CEO of that, with extensive experience in safety net systems. He has led innovative programs in behavioral health and developmental disabilities. He chaired the Texas Behavioral Health Advisory Council and serves on the Texas Judicial Commission on Mental Health. Recognized as a modern healthcare top 25 innovator, he is passionate about improving access and outcomes in mental health care. Under his leadership, the Harris Center earned multiple awards, including Best Place to Work. A dedicated advocate, Wayne's work reflects his commitment to community-focused solutions. And lastly, holding the mic, is Stephen Glacier, VP of Business Development and Government Relations, UT Behavioral Sciences. He's a hospital administrator with 40 plus years of senior leadership experience, Vice President of Business Development and Government Relations at UT Health Behavioral Science Campus, a fellow of the American College of Healthcare Executives, and served as CEO in psychiatric acute care and long-term acute care hospitals. And together they will share insights, strategies, and challenges as they continue to make a difference. Let's give them a warm round of applause.
Thank you. Let's start off with the topic, because it's come up several times tonight already, about the stigma surrounding mental health. Stigma surrounding mental health has been with us for a long time. I started working in this field in 1977, so I'm giving away how old I am. And it was a huge issue then, and unfortunately, it's still an issue now. The APA estimates that over half of people that are living with a diagnosable mental illness don't receive treatment. This is because, unfortunately, the stigma, prejudice, and discrimination against people with mental illness is still very much a problem. So first question for either of you is, do you think this is changing at all? Are you seeing any movement? Are we making any progress? And then what specific strategies do you think, if you've seen, that might be implemented that might help make a difference in stigma? And then I want to follow up with a question about stigma that's specific to certain cultures. But let's start with, are we making any progress? What are you guys seeing around stigma, and what do you think could make a difference?
So, first of all, I want to thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight. I appreciate the focus on mental health. This is a great example of something that we can very concretely do to help reduce stigma. And I also think we owe that young lady one more round of applause for her bravery. Her comments were powerful, and she probably did more to reduce stigma in that 5 minutes than most of us will do in the next year, right? So really, really powerful comments. And I do think that stigma is reducing. I'm optimistic about where that's going. I think from my perspective, two things are driving it. One is that this shared experience of the pandemic we all had, right? Nobody escaped that unimpacted. And there's something about the global nature of that I think makes it relatable. It's not an us and them kind of conversation anymore. It's a, well, how did that impact you? Oh, well, that made my kid really anxious a lot. That made me feel really isolated. And then the other thing is the other part that young lady represented, which is this younger generation doesn't have the same kind of hangups we do about some of this stuff, right? And so if we can figure out how we don't transfer some of those hangups to them, I think they will continue to push us and move us forward to places that are much more comfortable, much more open, and allow much greater impact and access to care.
Senator?
Thank you. First of all, good evening, everyone. I'm so glad to be here with all of you. Thank you for the invitation. You know, I'll start off by saying stigma is 100% preventable. It takes each and every one of you to talk about mental health to get rid of stigma. And when we eliminate stigma, it means people can get access to treatment, they can get healthy, and they can go about leading their life. So I'm a good Indian mom, so I'm giving you all homework. And the homework is you have to go talk to people about mental health. That is how we get rid of stigma. You know, I got involved in addressing mental health as a prosecutor with King County. I started working in forensic mental health. And the work that I did through a mental health courts really opened my eyes on what was happening in our communities. And so I got on the board of NAMI, Eastside, National Alliance on Mental Illness. And it was astounding because I was on the board, I would go to NAMI Walk, and I was the only brown person I saw. And I remember this one year where I saw another brown person at the NAMI Walk. I ran up to them, I'm like, thank you so much for being here. You know, that was about 20 years ago, and I have absolutely seen a change, and it's been a good, positive change. I can speak specifically in Washington. We actually make sure very deliberately that we have people of Indian origin who go through the family-to-family training, that we have people of Indian origin who do the peer-to-peer training, and we have an amazing Indian American Community Services organization that has a monthly meeting called Log Kya Kahenge. The translation is, what will people say? And that is exactly what goes into the minds of parents and grandparents when their child is struggling with mental illness. It is about the well-being of the child, but in their head, they're going, Log Kya Kahenge. And so the way to make sure that we make that child feel whole is to make sure we talk about it. So, you know, it's the Indian community's burden to make sure they take that mantle and have these discussions, have these hearings, and create spaces where families can find support and individuals can find support. So I definitely see us in the right trajectory. COVID helped us talk about depression and anxiety, but we still don't talk about bipolar or schizophrenia. So baby steps, but heading in the right direction.
So I also am optimistic for the first time in a long time that we might be making a difference. And one of the reasons is, you know, part of the problem with stigma is people don't understand, they're not educated about individuals that live with a mental health issue. So you'd think that if we could educate people, it would make the stigma less. Well, research shows that it doesn't really help that much. But what they have found does help is social connection with individuals that live with a mental health problem. It humanizes it. It helps people relate to them. And research also shows that, interestingly, that doesn't even have to be a personal connection. It can be done virtually. How many of you have seen an athlete or an entertainer in the last few years talk about a mental health challenge that they were living with. It's happening all the time now. And they're sharing this on their social media platforms, they're sharing this in podcasts, and it's becoming very common for people that are in the public eye to talk about and to talk openly about the mental health challenges that they live with. And when that happens, it really makes a difference in terms of reducing the stigma. It's happening a lot, so I'm optimistic for the first time actually in a long time. Let's move on and talk a little bit about the intersection of mental health and justice, which is a topic I know both of you are really involved with and interested in. Currently in Texas, we have just over 2,000 beds in our state psychiatric hospitals that are open and available for patients to be admitted to. Unfortunately, about 72% of those beds right now are filled with individuals that are there because they were arrested, they have a mental health problem, they're incompetent to stand trial, and the state is required to try to restore their competency. And they are filling those beds. That leaves only about 28% of the beds available for individuals who just need mental health treatment in a psychiatric hospital. Also, the wait list for a competency restoration bed right now in Texas is about 1,800 individuals. There are 1,800 individuals sitting in a county jail somewhere waiting for placement to try to get their competency restored so they can stand trial. The wait to get into a bed for non-maximum security patients has been as long as a year, and for maximum security patients has been as long as 2 years. So, first question, Wayne, you've seen this problem up close in Texas. What do you think we need to do? What initiatives are out there that will help make a difference?
So I think we've got to tackle it in multiple approaches, right? We're not going to be able to do this with one solution, but we've got to find a way to accelerate competency restoration. Realize the numbers people waited 2 years, haven't been convicted of anything. They've just been accused of something. They can't get to trial to prove they're innocent or accept their responsibility because they're not competent. So, we've got to find a way to increase capacity. One of the things that has been gaining ground is the use of private community-based psychiatric beds. Stephen, I know you've facilitated and helped build a whole campus in our community for that. We've got to think about outpatient-based competency restoration programs. If people are waiting, we have a new program here in the county that the county helps support. We have 50 beds of jail-based competency restoration. I would rather not restore people in jail, but if they're going to be in jail anyway, let's see if we can help them while they're there. But then the other side of that coin is we have got to do more to reduce the intersectionality of criminal justice and mental health. We've got to find ways to either provide treatment earlier so that they don't have that intersection, or when that intersection occurs, to try and find ways to divert them out of that. We have a program here that has been replicated now almost a dozen times across our state. It's a mental health diversion center. The idea is it's a 24/7 drop-off that law enforcement can take someone when they've committed a kind of a low-level crime and take them to get treatment and care as opposed to taking them to jail. We just recently celebrated our 12,000th diversion. So in the last 5 years, 12,000 people did not go to jail that didn't really need to. They were not a public safety issue. Nobody in here was threatened or harmed because of them. They were trespassing, or they were in front of a store making people uncomfortable. So we've got to be creative about how do we stop that cycle from even getting started in the process.
And Senator, I know Washington State's made some real progress. You guys, I think in the past were where we are now, and you've really made some progress, and I think you had a lot to do with that. Share with us what Washington State has done to solve this problem.
Absolutely. I'm very proud of the work Washington has done. And I've been in a unique situation because for 20 years I was a prosecutor sending people to our state hospitals and really taking a look at the forensic system. And as a senator, I'm in a position to really take a look from beginning to end on what we are doing as a system. I think there's a fundamental failing in our country if the largest mental health hospitals are our prisons. It's a failing on the public health system. It's a failing on a criminal justice system, because it means we're not taking care of people through health care, because that's what mental health is about. So in Washington, we have really been taking a look at talking about education, prevention, early intervention, taking a look at our civil system, and then, of course, taking a look at our forensic system, but really making sure we have supports and services at every single part of the way. Hopefully, everyone in this room is familiar with 988. That is the 3-digit number you call when you have a mental health crisis. In Washington, we really took that opportunity, knowing that 988 was coming, to develop that entire continuum of care. And I'm really proud that my legislation that created the 988 system is now the national model. But it is about making sure that you're able to do treatment on demand. So starting with our youth, making sure they have the education and the resources to be successful. In Washington, we make sure everyone has access to mental health first aid. So you can get trained, schools can get trained, anyone who wants to get trained can understand how to recognize symptoms of mental health and get people the help they need. And it really is about those civil structures and enhancing them, making sure that you do have the community health beds, that you do have the wraparound services, and then unfortunately when you need the forensic work, that you have enough beds to make that happen.
So I think another interesting point about getting people restored to competency is mostly what we do to try to restore their competency, we do in a hospital admission. But I think the majority of these patients don't have to have this done in the hospital. And I'll tell you a story about the diversion center. When they first opened the center, I was a little nervous because I was running the city's public safety net psychiatric hospital. And they said, well, we're going to divert all these people from jail. And I thought, well, where are they going to divert them to? They're going to divert them to my hospital. And my hospital is full with a waiting list. So what are we going to do? How are we going to handle that? Well, they opened the diversion center, and in the first 3 or 4 months, could probably count on one hand the number of individuals that they had to send to my hospital and admit. The majority of these patients did not need to be in the hospital. They were able to link them into outpatient services, link them into other services. So we can restore people on an outpatient basis. We can also restore people in jail-based programs, and we can avoid arresting people to begin with in diversion programs. If we're ever going to make a difference, I think we're going to have to use all of those tools in our tool belt.
Just to take a little bit of pride in this, our little diversion program that started here now has been replicated in Dallas and Fort Worth. It's in process of being replicated in Austin. Corpus Christi opened theirs a few months ago. Lubbock has one. I mean, it has literally been replicated dozens of times. I'll also just take and give a little shout out. You know, when you start something like that, it's scary because there's no roadmap for that. Dr. Vinay Kapoor is back there in the back. He is one of our physician leaders who championed that and was the physician who was willing to help us figure that out. And so I just give credit to Dr. Kapoor for all his hard work and taking those chances to get people better.
And I think this is a good example, too, of how a lot of successful public policy programs get started at the local level. They get tested, they get tried, we figure out if they work or not, how to make them work. And then the ones that are successful, and this was extremely successful, and it was the first one in Texas, then we scale them up and we can move them around the state. The good news, too, is that while we've got 1,800 people on the list, about a year ago, we had almost 2,800. So we're making really good progress right now.
And I'll just add, this is why everyone should pay attention to what's happening in different states, because we learn from each other. None of us have to reinvent the wheel every single time. Take a look at what's working, and then make sure we're doing the same thing.
Let's talk a little bit about policy and advocacy. Talked about some of the other things beyond forensic patients that we're dealing with. Texas legislature has been very focused on mental health issues over the past 4 or 5 sessions. They've focused on mental health legislation and funding, and it's had a great deal of bipartisan support. I do a lot of work with the legislature. I think this topic gets more bipartisan support than just about any other topic that I've dealt with. So my first question, are there any specific initiatives beyond the ones we've just been talking about that either of you are involved with or aware of that you think really have an opportunity to make a difference in mental health access and mental health treatment and outcomes?
Well, I'll just as a senator, policy is what I do, and mental health policy is absolutely it. So I mentioned the 988 system that we have. You know, we continue to make sure we're refining it. In Washington, we have a Children's and Youth Behavioral Health Task Force. So we're really taking a look at actually prenatal care all the way since a child is born, because you've got to talk about maternal depression, postpartum depression, and start with that to make sure that the mother and the child are actually healthy, and go through that entire spectrum of care. And you know, we talk a lot about integration between physical health, mental health. We want to make sure there's parity between physical health and mental health. You know, in an ideal world, you should be able to walk into a doctor's office and get care from the top of your head down to your toes. So how do you make sure you get to that vision of complete comprehensive care? And so we continue to work on it. But you know, one of the things I did last session was actually having occupational therapists be part of a mental health team. And did I need a bill to do that? I did, unfortunately, because you cannot bill for having an OT as part of your mental health team. And so we needed legislation to do it. And people know that when you have someone in crisis, an OT can actually help that person maintain housing, take their meds, stay stable. So there are always creative solutions that we need to do, and unfortunately, a lot of that requires legislation. So we continue down that path and really taking a look at what are the barriers to accessing treatment and how we can make sure that we let people get access as early on as possible so we don't have the needs for forensic mental health.
So I'm going to ask you to talk about TChat in just a minute because I know it goes through UT Health, but I will also just note that in the last couple of weeks, HHSC has released a new strategic plan related to child mental health, and it has some pretty strong recommendations. They put forward a legislative request with it, but didn't put a dollar amount because they wanted it to be open, which is their way of messaging they would like for this to be a big investment in this next session. And I think there's some real powerful potential in thinking about how we might transform our child and adolescent mental health system. But you've got a program that's already pretty powerfully impactful and supported. I know I'm not the moderator. I'm sorry. I overstepped here a little bit, I think.
We'll swap up. So the 86th legislature created an organization called the Children's Mental Health Care Consortium, and they have developed a number of initiatives. And this actually leads into the next question I wanted to talk, or the topic I wanted to talk about, which is technology and mental health. Two of their initiatives, so just a little background on this. There are only 800 child and adolescent psychiatrists in all of the state of Texas, and 84% of Texas counties do not have a single child and adolescent psychiatrist. Now think about that. 84% of the counties in Texas don't have even one child and adolescent psychiatrist. So what the consortium did was they leveraged technology, and one of the good things I think that came out of the COVID pandemic was it forced us to learn how to use technology better and to learn how to use technology in telehealth and in treatment. So they've created two initiatives. One gives a primary care provider, so it may be a pediatrician, it may be a family practice physician. If you're in a county with no child and adolescent psychiatrists, they're the ones that end up trying to treat the kids. If they need help, if they need counsel, if they need advice, they can go online now through the Child Psychiatry Access Network and have a teleconsultation with the child psychiatrist, talk about their patient, talk about what they're doing, get advice from them, and use that in treating that child. The other initiative is called TChat, and it's a program that allows for a child or adolescent that's in a public school who's having a mental health problem that needs treatment, that needs therapy, to be able to get that through telehealth directly at the school. So essentially, they've utilized technology to drive access to a child and adolescent psychiatrist through all of the rest of those counties that don't have that. And it's made a huge, huge difference. It is in most of the counties in Texas. It's in most of the schools right now, and it's made a really big difference. Let's move on and talk a little bit about workforce challenges. It's something that Wayne and I deal with all the time as we're trying to hire individuals. I've just talked a little bit about the shortage of child and adolescent psychiatrists, but we have shortages in all the mental health treatment areas. What do we need? It's a real problem. It may be in Washington as well. I don't know, but it's a real problem here. What are some initiatives that you guys think you've either seen or heard talked about that you think make a difference or might make a difference in dealing with that workforce shortage?
You know, we talk about workforce all the time, especially post-COVID, but in the healthcare arena, it's real and acute. So we've done really creative things by actually creating a behavioral health technician licensing, which is at the bachelor's level. They can actually support the master's level clinicians in doing a lot of the work, and we're doing it in partnership with the University of Washington. We were very fortunate a few years ago, the state invested in the University of Washington having a teaching hospital where they've opened about 400 beds, but it is affiliated with the university, so you have students learning there. And then peer support. You know, this is an arena where you have a lot of peers who are interested in giving back and helping others. And so really making sure you create pathways for peer specialists to help others and then have a ladder to get professional licensing to continue the work that they do. But it is about making sure that you can have people working at the top of their license and really seeing how we can do support services using different educational levels to help facilitate that. But workforce is a real issue no matter what component of the workforce you're looking at.
Wayne?
And one of the challenges with the workforce isn't just the workforce, but it's the distribution at times of that workforce. So as I mentioned, I work in the safety net mental health system for Harris County. That's my responsibility. We have, on a good day, about 2,600 employees that work to take care of the 90,000 people last year that we served across Harris County. And what we find is that a lot of the psychiatrists that are out there are psychiatrists who have chosen, and no knock on them, to do cash private practice, right? Because it's easy. Somebody Venmos them money, they show up, they get seen, and they go out. It's much harder to get people who will see Medicaid patients, who will see volumes of patients, because that's what it takes to be able to kind of break even if you're not paying cash. Also, one of the things the state has done is made investments to create better partnerships and alignment between the academic medical centers and the community mental health systems, so that we have an opportunity to create that exposure with those physicians that are in training. Dr. Patel is one of our physicians who supervised our resident clinic. He's so good he got promoted and doesn't do that anymore. But it became quickly a rotation that we had more residents that wanted to go into that clinic than we had slots available for them. Not because there's anything great about us, but because they were exposed to something and really got passionate about serving a safety net population, and probably because Dr. Patel's a pretty good teacher as well at that. But the opportunity to expose people, to get them interested in public mental health, I think is critical. The other thing I think we've got to have a little bit of kind of corollary conversation is there's also some professional stigmatization as well. Right? I suspect that many of you, we kind of think about physicians and we think about this different, almost hierarchy, if you will, of them. And I think it's recovering a little bit, but we've not always valued and appreciated mental health professionals in the same way that we have other professionals. And I'll echo the senator's comment about peer support specialists and the ability for them to impact people navigating the mental health system. We've spoken at length because she's so impactful, but the brave young lady that was up here earlier, imagine her sitting down for 20 minutes and talking in a couple of years with a young high school girl and sharing what her experience was like and the impact that's going to have, right? So this pathway for people to be able to share lived experience and be a part of our system in a way that is reimbursed adequately, that is recognized, and we celebrate the impact that they can have as well.
So let me end with this. The APA estimates that somewhere between 1 in 4 and 1 in 5 individuals living in the United States is living with a diagnosable mental illness. Look at the size of this room here. I'd be surprised if there wasn't somebody sitting out there that isn't dealing with a family member or maybe is struggling with this yourself. We have made huge advances since I got into this field in 1977 in our ability to treat and help people get better. Wayne, what would you suggest if there's somebody that's looking for help, maybe for themselves or a family member? How do they reach out? Where do they go? What resources are out there?
Yeah, so the good news is that you are my people, right? Like, we are in this together. You're in our community. So if you're here and need help, there's a few resources. One, the Senator already mentioned, is 988. That number works no matter where you're at in the country. If you're in a crisis, you will connect with a mental health clinician anywhere you are that you dial that number. They're working on geolocating that so that ultimately when you call, it's going to go based on to the nearest center to where you're at that moment. Right now, it's based off of your area code. I will also give you the longer version, which is 713-970-7000. If you're in Harris County and dial that number, we happen to answer the 988 line as well, just as an aside. It's us anyway, but we certainly answer that number. If you go to theharriscenter.org, you'll find a chat box pop up. You can chat with us that way. You can reach out through email. We are the safety net system, and for you or for the people that you might know, we are here also to serve people who don't have any resources. So most of the care we deliver are to people who don't have insurance, don't have the ability to pay for care, so that shouldn't be a barrier to somebody trying to access help in our community.
Senator Wayne, thank you very much. I believe our time is up.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
All right, I think it's working now. Thank you all so much, and please accept these tokens of appreciation as a small gesture of our gratitude. Another round of applause for our panelists, please. They bring up some great points and really sharing all of those solutions, and their expertise is so impactful. Now we are going to honor 3 outstanding individuals for their remarkable contributions to our community. So please join me in sharing and celebrating our honorees. Okay, first up is Sonal Shah. She is the Chief Executive Officer at the Texas Tribune. She is and has started and led impactful efforts in academia, government, and the private and philanthropic sectors for more than 25 years. Previously, she served as interim executive vice president at United Way Worldwide. Sonal founded the Asian American Foundation in Houston and also founded and led Georgetown University's Beek Center for Social Impact and Innovation. Her background in government and policy include leading the White House Office of Social Innovation and Civic Participation in the Obama administration, serving as an international economist at the Department of Treasury and as a policy director for Pete Buttigieg's presidential campaign. In the private sector, Sonal led Goldman Sachs' environmental energy and Google's global technology and impact investment initiatives. Sonal grew up in Houston, earned a BA in economics from the University of Chicago and an MA in economics from Duke University. Congratulations. Big round of applause to Sonal Shah. If you could please still stay on the stage. We will now invite Ashok Kumar Mago. Ashok Mago, chairman of Mago and Associates, is a pioneer in U.S.-India relations, known for his advocacy for the U.S.-India Civil Nuclear Agreement and founding the Senate India Caucus. He established the U.S.-India Chamber of Commerce, fostering bilateral trade and partnerships. Recognized with India's Padma Shri Award, Ashok has contributed to education, humanitarian causes, and policy development in Texas, and the University of Texas at Dallas alumnus. He continues to champion marginalized communities and cross-border collaboration from his home in Dallas. Congratulations to Mr. Mago. Okay, now for the next, and please stay on the stage as well. Senator Munka Dhingra, please come back up on stage. Very popular. Well, she is the first Sikh state legislator in the U.S., and she champions behavioral health reform, domestic violence prevention, and criminal justice transformation. A senior deputy prosecutor, Munka developed the state's mental health and veterans courts. Her advocacy extends to anti-poverty and equity initiatives. A community leader and co-founder of Chaya, she is committed to creating systematic change through innovative legislation and partnerships. Congratulations to you, Senator. All right, big round of applause for them. And now we have a visual treat. The Navrasa Fashion Show by Viva Global celebrates the 9 states of emotions in vibrant colors and culture. So please welcome them to the stage.
So we're waiting for the most exciting part of today's program, which is Colors of Mental Health, that is produced by Viva. I'd like to just mention something of a program that is coming up next year as a part of IAPAC program. So this is the Family Law 101 and Domestic Violence. We typically do a women empowerment series, so we did one this year on human trafficking. Last year we did one on women's health rights. And next year we're doing one on Family Law 101 with domestic violence, where we will have judges, attorneys, and victims of, who are survivors of domestic abuse, as well as NGOs that help these women. This is something highly needed in our communities across the board. So I welcome you all for next year's program to attend our part of our Women Empowerment Series. And this program, which is the fashion show, which is going to start, is at really 9:05. It's just about to start now. So, great.
The Healing Spectrum, a celebration of color therapy through fashion. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a unique and vibrant celebration of color and wellness. Tonight, we invite you to embark on a journey through the healing power of color therapy. Each hue carries its own energy, capable of uplifting our spirits, calming our minds, and enhancing our well-being. As we showcase the rich, diverse colors of India, we will explore how these vibrant shades not only reflect our cultural heritage, but also promote positivity and harmony in our lives. Let the colors on this runway inspire you, heal you, and remind you of the incredible connection between beauty and emotional balance expressed through the Navrasa, the 9 states of emotional empowerment. First presenting Shringara Green, the essence of love and beauty. Shringara embodies the power to heal and unite. This color represents divine connection, dissolving ego, and revealing love's universal presence. Adbhuta, yellow, the color of wonder and amazement. Adbhuta captures the joy of curiosity and playfulness. It inspires us to embrace life's surprises with innocence and a spirit of adventure. Bibhatsya, blue, representing aversion and self-reflection. Bibhatsya reveals the emotions of disgust, judgment, and loathing. It invites us to confront and transcend negativity within and around us. Veera, orange, the color of heroism and courage. Veera ignites the inner warrior in all of us. It radiates bravery, confidence, and determination, embodying the essence of valor and self-assurance.
Keep choking.
Karuna, gray, the color of sorrow and compassion. Karuna embodies empathy and connection. It bridges hearts, allowing us to deeply understand and share in each other's pain, fostering honesty and unity. Bhayanaka, black, the color of fear. Bhayanaka dwells into the shadows of worry, self-doubt, and insecurity. Yet it holds the potential for transformation, reminding us that love, inner strength, and truth can illuminate even the darkest corners of our mind. Rudra, red. The color of anger and intensity. Rudra reflects the fiery energy of rage and irritation. It serves as a reminder to release anger and embrace calm, preventing it from consuming our goodwill and peace. Shanta, white, the color of peace and tranquility. Shanta embodies calmness and commitment. It invites us to embrace stillness, fostering inner harmony and relaxation through quiet reflection. Divya, gold, the color of divinity and wisdom. Divya radiates luxury, wealth, and prosperity. It evokes a sense of enlightenment and spiritual abundance, inspiring us to embrace brilliance and the eternal light within. Ladies and gentlemen, as we reflect on our blessings tonight, let us honor them by extending our support to those in need. I sincerely thank each of you for your generosity tonight and encourage you to continue campaigning IAPAC's vital mission. Together, we can tackle the urgent mental health crisis in America and create a lasting impact, representing our final rasa, emotion, color, gold. Now I invite my team to come on stage, please. All the models.
Big round of applause for them. That was amazing. All right. All right, as we close this memorable evening, I'd like to invite Naveen Kocho to deliver the vote of thanks.
Good evening, everyone. What an evening we had so far. Did you like it? Thank you so much for coming in. And we want to, on behalf of Indian American Public Affairs Council, I would like to express my deepest gratitude and thanks to all of you for coming in here and making this event a resounding success. Thank you again. First and foremost, I would like to express my sincere thanks to tonight's keynote speaker, panelist, and honorees, Dr. Rahul Gupta, and our esteemed panelist, Senator Manka Dhingra, Wayne Young, Stephen Glazier. Thank you for your inspirational discussion, and I think this will continue not beyond this evening, and it's a very important topic, and I think you've given some triggers that we can take further on. And to our honorees, Ashok, Sonal, and Manka Dhingra, thank you for your outstanding contributions. You exemplify the very best of leadership and commitment to our community. And today's performers, thank you, Sharantin, for that beautiful rendition of National Anthem initially. Dr. Shez, for your comedy act and breath of fresh air, making the lighter moments here in this event. Next is Viva Global, Vaishali, thank you for this event and the fashion show. That is a beautiful fashion show that you put together with very deep thought in connecting emotions to colors and eventually connecting to the real topic here. And I think that a lot of thought went into it. Thank you so much. A special mention to Anaka. Thank you for sharing your story. And I think as the panelists mentioned, this would be just a starting, and this will continue. Please continue to inspire more and more people coming in, and this will be very powerful. Thank you so much for sharing your story here. Next, I would like to express my deepest gratitude to our sponsors, the platinum sponsors, Vaishali from Bloom Foundation, and Anil Kaur from Karavalli Ventures and Capital from the platinum side. In addition, all the other sponsors, everyone who is sitting here contributed in one way or the other in terms of sponsorship, making this, from that perspective, a very resounding success as well. With your help, we will be able to continue the legacy and continue the actions with our community, and we will expect your help in future as well in the engagement and making sure that we get the right people at the right place and get information flowing. And next, I would like to also thank the other dignitaries who were here, who could not be here, but at the same time took time to send the messages, like Mayor Whitmire, Congressman Raja Krishnamurthy, then Senator John Cornyn. Thank you so much for your support and taking time to connect with us. Special mention to founders of IAPAC. I think today is a testament to their vision when they started IAPAC 25 years ago. So thank you so much for starting something such at that time and making sure that it continued over the years. And we are here today celebrating 25th year as a gala, connecting the right context with the community. So thank you so much for the your vision and the vision and execution of that vision. Thank you. And the next, I would like to express my gratitude to the volunteers and the members of the board and all others who were involved in putting together this program. People have been working day and night, planning, connecting with many, many people, a lot of actions. Thank you so much for your work and effort. And I think this was a very successful program because of every one of your contributions. Thank you so much. And finally, I would like to express my gratitude to all the guests who came here. Thank you so much. Without your presence, this program would not have been so successful. Thank you so much. We will continue to believe that you will be helping us. Thank you so much. And on that note, once again, thank you for making this such a good program. Thank you. Next, we will call upon a few of the sets of pictures that we will take. I think, please wait until we take the pictures, actually. Yeah.
So, a very special thank you to the best MC we could get for the evening, Rashi Vats. A big round of applause for her. She carried the day.